All right, we're good to go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Tater Talk. I am your host, Justin Ledger, and we got the full crew today. We got Zach. What's going on, Zach?
What's going on, guys? Sorry I missed last week, but you guys did a great job. I just have to say that.
Yeah, Graz steps up as a co-host when you need him. He's our producer Graz. But when you need him as a co-host, he stepped up big time last week. Graz, how are you?
Good. You know, when I'm not dropping off the face of the earth, sometimes I like to come back and talk baseball.
When you're not giving up social media for Lent, you are on your game. Yeah, so we got a lot to talk about this week, to say the least. We got a lot of good stories that I think we should just jump right into. And something that we used to do on this show is lead off the show with our favorite stories from the week. And for whatever reason, I think it's just because of the new baseball season, we changed our format a little bit. But we're going to go back to what worked, and that is starting off the show with our favorite stories from the week. And Zach, I will let you start here.
Definitely. So we're recording this podcast at 8:01 p.m. So the Nationals just call up their top prospect, Juan Soto. I believe he's a top 15 prospect in baseball overall. Left fielder, 19-year-old, absolute stud. First pitch that he sees in the bigs goes Oppo Taco over the left field fence. I mean, this kid's going to be a stud, and Nationals need all the hitting they can get. So if he can hit, he'll find his way into the lineup, and they can't really remove him with the trouble they've had in the outfield. Michael A. Taylor has been terrible for them, so I know they're looking for a bat out there. This kid looks to be the real deal. That swing, it's very similar to Bryce Harper. If you get a chance to see the video, he's a very similar swing to Bryce Harper. This kid and Acuna, these 19-year-old, 20-year-old kids are coming up and just smashing the ball. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's sort of this new wave of young talent right now. There's just this influx of these guys who can absolutely mash the ball. Vlad Guerrero, Ronald Acuna, Ozzie Albies, and now Juan Soto, who's 19 years old. He's the youngest active player in the big leagues, and he just smacks an opposite field 3-run homer in his second plate appearance. So that says a lot to just the potential these young guys have to make this game more fun to watch for the casual fan. I mean, chicks dig the long ball, and so does everybody else. And there's going to be plenty of them as these young guys get more at bats. And Vlad Guerrero is going to be the next one to come up. And Vlad Guerrero is raking I think he's hitting 430 or something like that in Double-A with it's just an OPS like a 1400 or something like that. So it speaks to the level of talent that we're seeing coming to the big leagues nowadays. It's awesome to watch.
I just looked up Juan Soto's picture on MLB.com. I would not be 100% surprised if it comes out that he's older than 19. He looks like a 25-year-old man. He looks like Carlos from Benchwarmers, where he gives them "I am 12" with $20 bill.
Yeah, he looks like that dude. What was that guy's name in the Little League World Series? Who got
Monte?
Yeah. How old did he say he was? And I think he said he was 14, and he ended up being 20 or something like that.
I think he said he was 13, and he ended up being 16, 17 years old.
Oh my God, that's one of the all-time stories. It's just anyone who fakes their age or anything like that, it always goes back to Danny Almonte. It's hilarious. But this Juan Soto guy, he's pretty much the second coming of Bryce Harper. I mean, if we're assuming that Harper won't be a national after this year, at least I am. I don't know what you guys think about that, whether he'll remain in a Nationals uniform, but it seems to me that this guy is next in line. He's sort of the safety net. If Harper does leave, they're like, okay, it's fine. We got Juan Soto mashing in your place. He will literally replace Harper. And I don't think you can expect the exact same production, but I think the potential for it is there for sure.
Yeah, and they'll have Adam Eaton coming back. I think they'll be fine in the outfield if they lose Harper. But, yeah, this kid looks to be the real deal. I don't want to overreact, but it's crazy. I mean, that opposite field home run, that's what JD Martinez is doing for the Red Sox. Opposite field hitting home runs to the opposite field is crazy. I mean, it's really hard to do in the major leagues, and he just does it on the first pitch like it's nothing. So more to come from this guy.
I can't wait to see what he does for the rest of this season. As long as he's up, I'm sure he's going to be in the bid. The Nationals are dealing with so many injuries right now that I think he's here to stay, at least for a little while. Yeah. And it's just the beginning of the Juan Soto era. And if he does stay in the big leagues all season long, I do feel like the Rookie of the Year race is you got to figure Ozzie Albies isn't going to pick up this pace. He's not a power hitter. He was never looked at as a power hitter. He has 13 home runs right now, I think. And you got to think that's going to stagnate at some point. So if Juan Soto goes on a run here, He could make the NL Rookie of the Year race look pretty interesting. Actually, Ozzie Albies isn't a rookie, so that's my bad. But Ronald Acuna is. So that's where like the Rookie of the Year race could get real interesting fast. So my favorite story of this week, not counting Juan Soto, because that would probably be my favorite, but this one's still intriguing. Sergio Romo. We know him as he's a veteran reliever. He pitched for the Giants in his prime, and he went to the Dodgers, sucked, ended up on the Rays. Kind of the tail end of his career at this point, but he has his good days still. Oh, nasty slider when he's on. But now he's apparently starting for the Rays in this new, I guess, pitching philosophy of throwing these guys out there for an inning or two at the beginning of games. And I'm interested to know what your thoughts on it, because it looked like with Romo, he was successful doing it. He actually pitched pretty well. So I want to know what you think first, Zach, about this new strategy the Rays are using of just bullpenning, not using starting pitchers, just using guys for a couple innings at a time.
I think the Rays went into the season with like the lowest expectations of any team in the bigs. And they were just like, let's just throw a bunch of shit against the wall and see what happens. And someone was saying during one of their games last week that they have the biggest analytics department in the MLB. So I think this is coming straight from them saying like, this is something we should try. And why not try it with Sergio Romo? He's been terrible as a reliever since he's gotten to the Rays. Throw him out there in the first inning and see what happens. And I think if I'm not mistaken, he struck out the side in both games and back-to-back games that he started against the Angels, who are one of the strongest hitting teams in the MLB. So, I mean, if it works, it works. I just there's no rhyme or reason to it. I don't think it's gonna like set baseball on fire and every team's gonna be doing it.
A lot of people think it will. A lot of people think this is going to like change baseball for the worse, like kind of make the starting pitcher not as important. And a lot of teams are going to start doing this. I don't necessarily think so, at least not anytime soon. But there's a theory. I mean, a lot of think pieces are being written about this kind of ruining the pitching aspect of baseball. Instead of having a starter that goes out there and throws 7 innings or so, you just have guys pitch 2 or 3 innings at a time. And if that does catch on, I think that's kind of lame. I don't necessarily think it will.
It is lame.
I just know a lot of people are saying that could happen.
Well, like Pedro Martinez came out this week and said these guys are happy when they get through the 5th inning. It's like when I was pitching, he said, if you didn't get into the 7th or 8th inning, it was like a disappointment.
Yep.
So it's just a whole different mindset nowadays, and I don't like the way it's trending either. I want this good starting pitching. I mean, you can't make up for having 5 solid starters that can get you into the 7th inning every time they go out there.
Where it all kind of stems from is the way that the playoffs have been these past couple of years, where these starters go out there for like an inning or two, and then they suck. They like look at we talked about Severino last week. Me and Graz were talking about his rough start, and he had a short leash obviously because he let up a good amount of runs in the first inning. And then the bullpen had to take over, and the bullpen did pretty well for the rest of the game. So now teams are looking at it like, is the starting pitcher, is it really necessary to throw a starting pitcher out there for 5-6 innings when if you have a good bullpen, just use your best guys. So it'll be interesting to see how it impacts baseball for the future, for sure.
Yeah, the Indians have been doing that the last couple of playoffs. Their starters have been like, just get me to the 5th and put Andrew Miller in for as many innings as he can pitch and just go from there.
Yeah. No,
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question with it is, do you start pitching completely backwards? Does it change everything? And then let's say you're the Nationals and you have a couple pitchers pitch innings 1, 2, 3 that don't matter, and then you bring in Scherzer in like the 4th inning. And then you pitch back, and then you have Scherzer for the rest of the game. And you're like, that's the best pitcher we have.
The thing is, when you're the Nationals, you don't need to do that. When you're the Rays, you got to go with whatever you got. The Nationals have something working with Scherzer. They know he's going to go out there, pitch 7 strong, and then like the bullpen will take over, and who knows what happens from there. But when you're the Rays, you don't really have that Scherzer. You don't have that guy. You're like throwing out there, be like, we know for 7 innings we're good. The Nationals have that guy, so I don't think they would change. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. My opinion.
Tampa Bay, like all their pitchers are like C pluses, so it doesn't really matter who they put out there. And I think I'm of the opinion that I would love to have a fresh guy in the 9th inning, not a 6th inning deep Max Scherzer when he's a little winded. So that's just my point of view on that.
Yeah. All right. So Graz, what was your favorite story?
My favorite story. First, since I don't know if we're going to bring up Tampa again, I just want to remind everyone that Tampa is now in 3rd place in the AL East. and the Orioles are still in last place.
like,
so my dollar is still looking good. Just want to remind everyone.
Yeah.
They're currently 8.5. The Orioles are behind the Tampa Bay Rays.
Can we up this bet if the Rays make the playoffs? Like we double it to like.
If the Rays make the playoffs, I'll like give Graz the keys to my house. Like I don't know. Like there's no chance the Rays make the playoffs. There's no chance. Right?
Okay.
I mean, I think even Graz can say there's no chance the Rays make the playoffs.
No, there isn't. But I do like houses. So I'm interested.
All right.
Favorite story. Just I wanted to clue everyone in on reminding me about my big dollar that's coming away. My favorite story is the fact that Jordan Hicks threw 2 pitches at 105 miles an hour with ridiculous movement.
That's fast.
Check it out. It's unbelievably fast. And then actually more important is out of the story that came out of it, they asked him about why he was throwing 105. And he said that Odubel was taking too long in the box. So it gets him amped up and he wanted to see if he could outdo himself and throw over 103 that he threw the night before, which is the coolest story I've heard all day.
The first pitch that he threw, I think it was the 104 mile per hour fastball. It was right up the middle. Odubel kind of just looked at it as like, no shot. Am I even going to try? The second one, I think, was a sinker or a 2-seam fastball or something, something like that. And it looked like a wiffle ball, like on a windy day. Yep. That's what it looked like. It looked like he threw it and the wind took it like to the side. It looked like a wild pitch when it was heading straight over the plate at the beginning. It was mind blowing to watch.
Can you guys fill me in where this dude came from? Like, I feel like I haven't heard about him. He's just coming up to the bigs throwing 105. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, there's no buzz around this. You got buzz around Vlad Guerrero and home runs. If this guy's 105 in the minors, do you think you would have heard about it?
The thing is, actually, he is doing pretty well. I think his ERA is like in the low 2s, which is, I mean, that's always good to have. He's walked more than he's struck out. And at first I thought he was an immediate comparison to Chapman, but Chapman never had, he's always struck out more hitters than he's walked. Chapman has. I actually checked the stats before I came on to make sure I didn't sound like an idiot. Chapman's always had like decent control. He has his days where he has no command, like everybody else, but Hicks has no control of his fastball. He needs to learn how to locate that thing. It reminds me of like a Daniel Bard situation where, I mean, Bard was a flamethrower, nowhere near 105, but he was there because of his velocity, but he could not locate that thing for the life of him. So if Hicks can start locating that thing, he will get the attention that he deserves. No doubt about that.
Or just take something off it at 99 and just get it over the plate.
Yeah. I mean, he's not
taking something off and it's still 102.
Yeah. That's what he should be doing. But if you're making, I mean, if you can throw 105, I don't think you can not throw 105. I think you have to shut it off.
The swings that Odubel had, it was a foul ball and he fouled it off, and it literally looked like, you know, when you have someone in Little League that's scared of the baseball and like turns away and like throws the bat at it.
Dude,
I'm like, that's a Major League Baseball player.
Yeah, but in Little League Baseball, when a guy was throwing me 85 mile per hour fastballs, I was like afraid of that. Yeah. Never mind 105. Imagine stepping up in the box against 105. You can't see it.
Especially a guy with terrible control. That's even scarier.
Right. Yeah. If he had control, that'd be one thing. But he's a pretty wild pitcher. You don't know where it's going to go. And that would, I probably wouldn't even step in the batter's box. I'd be like, can I auto strike out? Can I just sit down? Because that's petrifying.
If he doesn't take the wild thing moniker, then I don't believe in humanity anymore.
Yeah, I don't really know what this guy's deal is. He's kind of an enigma to me.
That's what I found out.
He's what?
From Texas, and he played at Tulane.
All right. Little background story on Jordan Hicks there. That if he can start controlling, that's all I can think about for this guy. Just if he can start controlling that thing, he's going to be a serious problem. But until then, I'm not really. He's a cool story. Like I like watching highlights and stuff. But he hasn't shown to be like a guy who can be like a stable, reliable option when you're walking like 30 batters to 15 strikeouts. Like that's never a good ratio. So, that's Jordan Hicks. Those are our favorite stories from the past week. Probably the biggest story from the past week was Robinson Cano's failed drug test. I think he tested positive for a diuretic, which is used as a masking agent for steroids. In other words, I mean, even Mark Teixeira said he wasn't surprised that Cano tested positive for steroids. So he took steroids. Let's not get it twisted. Suspended 80 games, his first offense. I think he was kind of connected to the whole biogenesis thing a few years back, which included A-Rod, obviously a bunch of other guys. But What do you guys think about Robinson Cano failing this drug test right after actually that he fractured his hand? This came out, so not a good week for Robinson Cano.
Graz, I'll let you go first as a Yankees fan.
I guess I'm just disappointed. I'm not mad at him. I get it completely, but like it tarnishes the reputation.
Yeah.
But I totally get doing drugs to get better because you still get the paycheck. Like you missed one season and he still has, oh no, the $12 million is wiped off the $200 million. Oh my goodness.
Here's the part that I don't get though, Graz. I like the D. Gordons of the world who needed the steroids to get the big payday and then just be like, okay, I don't care anymore. Like I respect that. When you're like Melky Cabrera, another one. The guys who, yeah, they have talent, but they're not going to get the big money contracts unless they take that next step, take some roids, have a big year, and then get that guaranteed money and then get out of the steroids. Robinson Cano, when you're 35 years old, what have you? I mean, you don't really have much else to gain. You're already a Hall of Famer. You have had a good year every single year of your career. Why are you still taking steroids? Give up. Like you can be. Look at Albert Pujols. Look how average he is now, below average, and he's still like hailed as one of the best players of all time. Cano, you're already in the Hall of Fame. You don't need to do roids anymore.
Here's the thing: is we don't know when that test is from. It could have been doing steroids the whole time. This could have been the Robinson Cano that we've been seeing. That's the whole.
No. Yeah, no, I know that. But I mean, for the test to be coming out now, he had to have gotten tested recently, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm saying like if he should have stopped years ago. He should have stopped like multiple years ago at 35 years old. He's been a Hall of Famer probably for a couple, like at least 3 years now, like the Hall of Fame. So just stop while you're ahead. He's got his money too already.
I got a question. Can he serve his suspension while he's on the DL with this injury?
Yes. Which is
that's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit.
I know. I thought it was going to be added on top of like once he comes back from the injury. I thought he was out still after that. But he will be back in mid-August. But he's not eligible for the postseason if the Mariners were to make it.
Okay, yeah, that's a loophole. I mean, it's not a loophole per se, but that's kind of shitty. You should have to miss active games.
Going back to the guaranteed contract thing, like a lot of guys take the roids to get the big guaranteed money. Why are there not clauses in the contract that say, like, if you get tested for positive, the guaranteed money is voided?
So I think the teams look the other way. Yeah, the teams are just
so strange. Like, I guess the teams, in a way, they kind of are like, we'll look the other way. You do that. It'll make us a better team and more fun to watch. Just don't make us look like idiots. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird question. Like, I just never understood why it's not in there somewhere. Like, if you test positive, we don't have to pay you.
Don't you think he should have been hitting more taters if he was on steroids?
Yeah, I mean, he does hit bombs every now and then, but he's never been like a 50 homer guy or anything like that. He looks like the type of, with his swing too, you would expect 50 homers out of him. And I don't think he's ever gotten to that mark. He might have gotten close a couple times, but yeah,
that's what I hate. I hate guys that take steroids and it just doesn't enhance their game. You know?
Well, what would he be without them? That's the real question, because he probably has been taking them his whole career. But hey, I don't know. Get your money, I guess. Switching gears here. Another shitty story, to be honest, is AJ Pollock. I feel like we just raved about this guy last week. Actually, the past few weeks is the guy who's been carrying the Diamondbacks offense on his back. Out a couple months with a fractured thumb. I think someone hit it inside the Parker and Pollock like went after it, broke fractured his thumb on that play. And he has been the life of the Diamondbacks offense, and they've been struggling. Now that NL West is, I guess you could say, wide open, I think I have the standings up right here. The Diamondbacks are 25-21 now, and the second place Rockies are a half game back. The Padres, the last place Padres, are 6 games back. So the NL West is officially in shit show mode.
I was telling you guys about I guarantee the Rockies would win the division, and it's looking
your predictions
better and better.
I hate it. Your predictions have looked very, very good so far this season. A lot of time left.
Dodgers have actually been playing a little bit. They just swept the Nationals, which was a big series for them. But yeah, the NL West, AJ Pollock's been unreal. I mean, he was in a lot of conversations for awards in the NL until he got that injury, because he was literally carrying their offense. Because Goldschmidt's been non-existent this year. He's been disappointed as shit. He was my dud a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he went like I think he went he had like sort of a Didi streak there. What Didi went one for 44, and I think Goldschmidt was right around that. So not a good look for Goldschmidt. I mean, you gotta think he'll bounce back, but he's been a reason why the Diamondbacks have been slumping lately. And obviously Pollock's absence has a lot to do with that as well. The Dodgers, going back to the Dodgers for a second, I think a lot to do with their them being sort of revitalized has a lot to do with Justin Turner being back in that lineup. He has proven to be, I know guys like Seager and Cody Bellinger and there's other guys in that lineup who can produce. But when you throw Justin Turner in the mix, it's a whole new lineup, and he's an all-around great hitter, and I think his presence has had a lot to do with their resurgence here.
Yeah, I totally agree. He's a locker room guy. He's a leader, and just him being back in the order and him being around the team more often and active has been huge for them.
Yeah, absolutely. The AL Central's looking a little weird too. I didn't really notice this till now, and I'm not surprised necessarily because the AL Central's always fucked up. The Cleveland Indians are leading the division, and they're 22 and 23. That's their record right now. It's 22 and 23. The Twins, yes, I know, Graz, and I didn't even realize it at the time when you asked that question. It was, what was it? It was, will the Indians win not going 500, right?
Yes.
Yes, and I didn't realize how realistic of a possibility that was until I checked out the standings before this show. The Minnesota Twins are a game and a half back of this division, of the Indians in this division. And the Detroit Tigers, who were they were supposed to be in full rebuild mode, like no shot at anything.
Worst.
They're 2.5 games back. I think if my memory serves me right, the Indians got off to a cold start last year too. So I do think they'll figure it out, especially as like they figured out that bullpen situation. But it's interesting right now. And I didn't realize how close the Twins were. And we all sort of counted out the Twins first few weeks of the season, the way they were playing.
Yeah, the Indians have been a terrible road team this year. They've been decent at home, but they have one of the worst road records in the MLB. And it's almost like they've gotten complacent because they know their division is so shitty. It's like the Patriots when they're in the AFC East, like they clinch with 5 weeks to go. They're just like, we're just going through the motions at this point, waiting for the playoffs. And the Indians are just moving along, doing what they need to do. And I think they can kick it into a higher gear when they need to. And they'll just be able to rack up wins versus their teams in their division. Because like, as you said, Detroit was supposed to be one of the worst teams in baseball, and they're only 2.5 games out. I mean, it's insane. It's been a weird season for sure thus far.
Which division has your attention the most at this point? If you had to pick one division that's the most intriguing, I'm not going with the Central on this one, as close as it is, because every team fucking blows. I'm going with the NL West because I think every team's genuinely in it, except probably the Padres. I'm interested to know what you think, though.
Yeah, I think there's 3 divisions to keep your eye on, and I think it's the AL West with Houston, who have been off to a decent start, but the Mariners have been hot. The Angels, everyone thought they were going to be a playoff team, and they're not in the playoffs currently. And Oakland, who have been playing great lately. So
yeah, that's the most underrated team in the league, in my opinion, is the A's. The A's, I think anytime the A's get brought up in conversation, it's like, oh, they're terrible. They're one of the worst teams in the league. Because they seem like they are, because no one can name a player on the team except like Chris Davis, but their lineup is no joke, and their pitching staff has a lot of no-name guys who just get the job done, and that's just who the A's are. It's just they're playing that Moneyball game, and it's still working decently. I'm not going to say they're like an outstanding team or anything, but they're above 500.
Yeah, the other 2 divisions are the NL East and the NL Central. They both have 4 teams that I think could win their division. So those are 2 to keep your eye on.
I forget, were you in or out on the Brewers before?
I was in on the Brewers.
Okay, because they're first place right now, and I honestly didn't think they were going to be anything special with that rotation, and they've proven me wrong so far. So they've heated up recently too.
Keep your eye on Jesus Aguilar from the Brewers. He's been hot, like he's been red hot right now for them.
Yeah, and then you got the good old Reds, 16 and 32. So that's always.
I'm a big Reds guy. Go Reds.
Go Reds. The Red Sox had another weird story. We talked about David Price, the whole Fortnite saga a couple weeks back. I think that's in the rearview mirror at this point. It seems like he's back to his normal self for now until the next story comes out with him. But Carson Smith took over, reliever for the Red Sox, as the weird story of the week for the Red Sox. He injured his shoulder, throwing his glove in frustration in the dugout. Have you guys seen the clip of Carson Smith throwing his shoulder? It is hilarious.
I did see it, yeah.
He throws his glove down, and you could see it right away. He's like, "Ow!" You knew right there and then that he was hurt, and I guess it's going to be a serious injury. So that's always good. At least the Red Sox have Tyler Thornburg coming back in that bullpen. We'll see how he does. But the real story here, in my opinion, obviously the injury is a big story, but the other part of this is him calling out Alex Cora, saying that Alex Cora uses him too much when he was like the 170th most used reliever in baseball. Like, he was not even close to being used a lot. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Smith, it's been proven he's made out of glass, and that comment made me hate him even more. I mean, what baseball player, is saying you're using me too much? Like, you just go out there and
especially when you're not being used a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it shows you how crazy he is, that he thinks he's been used a lot. It's like Joe Kelly's out there every night, and he's every other night or every 2 games, and he's like, "Oh, coach, you're using me way too much." So, like, that's just a shitty mentality. That's not a guy you want on your team.
No, not at all. I've definitely turned on Carson Smith. I liked him for a while because he was the only guy in the bullpen really being consistent over his last few appearances. And then like if Matt Barnes came out and was like, "I'm being used too much," I'd be like, "Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are, Matt Barnes. Like, you are pitching way too much. You need to do less." Or like even Joe Kelly at this point, because I see him anytime I'm watching the Red Sox, I see Joe Kelly trotting in from the bullpen, and it's like, do we use anyone else except Kelly and Barnes? I don't think we do. But it's this whole situation's fucked up. And Alex Cora said, I was glad to see Cora say, "I disagree with everything Carson Smith said," because if that were John Farrell would do something to make this whole situation worse. And Carson Smith even had the chance to backtrack on these comments too. A reporter asked him, was it the heat of the moment? Do you have anything else to say about the situation? Backtrack on your comments a little bit. And Carson Smith said, "I've said all I've needed to say." And then he ended it right there. So fuck Carson Smith. If he's out for the year, I hope we don't see him play on this Red Sox team again. I don't want guys like this on the team, and I'm sure you agree with that.
Exactly. Yep. I support everything you just said.
Yeah. Another rant I have to go on here is, what is going on with all of the perfect game, near perfect games, near no hitters? We've already seen 3 no hitters this season, and it seems every other night we have guys going into the 7th inning with no hitter. I get alerts on my phone when there's like a near no hitter or something, and it's every other night. It's like, God damn it, I have to tune into this Tigers, White Sox game just to see if this guy can finish out the no hitter, and they just don't do it. They get into the 7th or the 8th inning and they just don't do it. It's hilarious, but it just speaks to how hitters. I mean, the swing and miss rate is so far up, like compared to past years, that it's insane. The fact that these guys can't make contact, it's either a home run or they strike out at this point. And it just speaks to how less impressive no hitters and perfect games are as opposed to years past.
Yeah. I mean, Eckersley was talking about it during one of the Red Sox games this week, and he's like, it used to mean something to punch some guys out, but now it's just, you could. I
heard him say that actually.
Eduardo Rodriguez threw 3 pitches and struck this guy out, and that's what made Eckersley say that. But I totally agree with you. My roommate has the same alerts, and he's like, "We got Francisco Liriano, like perfect game in the sense." Like, dude, that guy's still in the major league.
Jordan Lyles for the Padres, I believe. The fact that I don't even know what team he's on anymore. I'm pretty sure he's on the Padres. Almost pitched a perfect game. I don't even know what the fuck I was watching. Like, why am I watching a Jordan Lyles almost perfect game? Why am I tuned into this? I don't care what Jordan Lyles does. So it's strange. It's just strange that these guys, anyone on any given night, can go out there, pitch a perfect game. And I think I talked with you, Graz, a little bit last week. I think we were saying I forget the exact conversation, to be honest, but we were talking about perfect games last week. And I was saying, like, is it the fact that anyone can do it makes it kind of less appealing these days?
Yeah, I'll look through the highlights the day after games, and I'll go through each game, and it'll be like, so and so broke up perfect game in the 6th. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't think the 6th inning is good enough to be like all over Twitter when people are like, "Oh, this person's pitching a perfect game through 5." It's like, wake me up in the 9th inning. And that's the point that I'm at now. Wake me up in the 9th inning when there's a perfect game or a no hitter, and then I'll tune in. I can't do it in the 6th inning. I can't stay tuned for 4 innings just to see him blow it in the 8th. I can't do it anymore. Speed, that just reminded me. This just is the most random thing ever. But remember when Kurt Schilling led like ninth inning with 2 outs? I think it was who hit it? Shannon something.
Shannon Stewart.
Shannon Stewart broke up the no-hit bid with 2 outs. That'll remain in my memory forever because that was back when no-hitters actually you were cheering if someone pitched a no-hitter. Now it's just like, oh, good for them. Nice.
The same thing happened at Fenway, Mike Messina, and I'm still mad about it too.
That's right. Who broke that up?
Carl, was it you guys' question?
Was it Carl Everett?
I believe it's Carl Everett.
Yeah, I think it was Carl Everett because Carl Everett was celebrating like they won the World Series. Used to be one of my favorite players, by the way, Carl Everett. His stance was awesome. Next up, going back to a former Red Sox, actually, speaking of Carl Everett, Clay Buchholz. First appearance in a major league game in over a year with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He pitched against the Mets on, I think it was yesterday, actually.
Yeah,
Sunday.
Yesterday.
So, yeah, we're recording this on Monday. So, yesterday, we're referring to Sunday here. And he did pretty well. So, I think I have to throw this out there. Don't call it a comeback. Is he the front runner for the Don't Call It a Comeback as of right now?
I think we just call it the Clay Buchholz Award at this point. He always just like has these stints where he pitches 5 or 6 great games, gets injured, and then doesn't play for a year, and just comes back with another random team and just ends up doing it again. So, yeah, it was when I saw that Clay Buchholz was going to start for the D-backs on Sunday, I was like, what year is this? Where are we living right now? He pitched well, so good for him. I mean, keeps trying. So
5 innings pitched, 2 hits. I think he let up a solo homer, which he's prone to do. He will let up plenty of home runs, I'm sure, in any appearance.
I've seen that before. Yeah,
we have seen too many Clay Buchholz home runs be let up. So good luck to Diamondbacks fans when they see his true colors soon enough. But props to him, honestly. Being 100% serious here, that is pretty cool that he just went up. He's back on the Diamondbacks, pitched a hell of a game. I actually hope for the best with Buchholz because he took his beating in Boston. He took it like a man. Like he was shit on every start, and you never really heard a peep out of him. He kind of just took his beating and left. So props to him for that. We'll move on to our segments here, starting with duds of the week. This is my favorite part of each episode, just shitting on players. Dud of the week here. I'll let you start here, Zach. Who do you got for dud of the week?
Yeah, so I used to be in love with this player, and he's just been so bad over the past few seasons, and he's been bad again this season, that I just wanted to highlight him and call him out. And that's Chris Crush Davis from the Orioles. Okay. This guy shouldn't be in the major leagues anymore. That's how bad he is.
He needs that Adderall.
Yeah,
back on the Adderall.
He needs it. I mean, he used to be such a good player too, and it's just he's hitting under 170 this year. He led the league in strikeouts over this last 7 days. It's like a symptom of this whole Baltimore team, but Crush Davis is just the poster child.
Question: how does Chris Davis have a job, but Jose Bautista just got released?
I have no idea. Crush Davis must be bringing something else to the table that I don't see, because it's just not there from the hitting perspective.
Strange. But yeah, Jose Bautista getting released. His career, speaking of him, has to be over now, right? I don't know if anyone else. Who else is going to take a chance on Jose Bautista at this stage?
Mets. Mets.
I did see that rumor today. I saw that rumor today that the Mets are interested. Where do you put him? I don't really know their situation right now. I mean, they have Todd Frazier.
You put him in the outfield. Cespedes has been hurt. You probably put him in the outfield.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know if he's the greatest replacement for Yoenis Cespedes, but you got to do what you got to do at this point, I guess. So my dud of the week, this is a guy, he might be this year's Matt Strahm, Zach. He might be that guy.
By the way, Matt Strahm's been pitching and getting shelled again this year. It's been crazy. I think he's on the Padres. I think he has like a 7 ERA.
I think I know at the end of the year, we're going to do our, it's the Matt Strahm award that we hand out at the end of the year. It's for the dud of the year. I honestly think Matt Strahm, if we look at everything at the end of the year, lay it all out, he might win his own award.
It's crazy, Matt Strom. He's gone out to San Diego and grown his hair out. He's having like an identity crisis.
Yes. It's hilarious. My Matt Strom for this year, my dud for this week is Sal Romano of the Cincinnati Reds. So in his last 2 starts, he's only made it through 7 1/3 innings pitched. He's 0-2 in those 2 starts. 15.95 ERA with a 3.0 whip. Do you know can you wrap your head around how bad that is? I know he's on the Reds, so it kind of comes with the territory. That's bad. That's going to get you on the dud list every week if you do that.
So I faced Sal Romano in high school.
No, you didn't. Are you serious?
Yeah, he was a freshman. I was a senior.
Wait, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you said that so casually. Like
he sucks.
He sucks. Dud of the week in our podcast in high school, and you brought it up like it was no big deal.
Well, dude, it's like people were shelling him in high school, so I'm surprised. I'm not surprised he got shelled in the majors.
Wait, what the?
What'd you do? You got a single. You at least laced one in the left, right?
I don't know. God, Graz, you're dating.
Did he throw heat at least?
He did throw gas. Okay. He was a freshman at the time, and he was starting on varsity pitching. So, like, he got bigger and stronger and grew into his body. But
I can't even look at you seriously right now. The fact you were just like, oh yeah, I faced him in high school. Like, not a big deal though. Like,
the fact that you don't know exactly what you did off him means you absolutely struck out too.
I'll leave that to Zach. I don't know.
No, I can't. I literally can't remember what happened.
Oh, yeah. Big K looking.
You can look it up. I'm sure it's documented someplace.
If I find
it's on Max Preps or something, probably.
If I find like newspaper clippings or something like that, I can guarantee you right now it's going to be the cover photo for Tater Talk.
It's in the Hartford Chronicle.
Yeah,
Hartford Chronicle.
It was the city and thought of in Connecticut and a paper name. You're welcome. I made it up. You caught me.
Close. Hartford Current.
So wait, where is he from?
He's from Southington, Connecticut. He played at Southington High School. He got drafted. I think he got drafted out of high school.
That's fucking insane. I can't believe. I don't know. What are the chances that I just mentioned a dud of the week and you're like, yeah, I faced him in high school? Were there a lot of people, a lot of players that came out of like that area? Or
yeah, I mean, my cousin played against AJ Pollock. AJ Pollock.
That's right.
He grew up like probably 15 minutes from my house.
Yeah, so. AJ Pollock, I bet, was not a scrub in high school.
Springer too, obviously, was from the area, so he's a little older than me. But
yeah, that's weird. There are a lot of Connecticut guys, huh? I think Charlie Morton too. Charlie Morton, I think, is from that area.
Matt Harvey's from Connecticut as well.
Yeah,
my roommate from Dr. Tom, actually. That's how you guys know him. But he, obviously, Charlie Morton's much older. I think he's like 10 years older. He's 34. But he went to the same high school as my roommate. So yeah, Connecticut does have a lot of talent. That's actually pretty interesting. So that's.
I don't know if it's talent. Sal Romano's a dud.
He's in the big leagues. I mean, I got to give credit where credit is due there. But again, when you're 0-2 with the 15.95 ERA and a 3 whip, you have dud of the year potential. Never mind dud of the week. So,
but he is striking out Zach on his resume.
He struck out Zach in high school though. So he's got that on his resume.
He was such a fucking fat kid in high school. Like he's
the thing
is now. So
the fat high school baseball players were the scariest ones to face though, because they were actually always good. Like if a fat kid stepped up to the plate, if you played outfield, you'd back up. At least I always did. If I saw anyone who was remotely tall or fat step up to the plate and they had a kind of intimidating stance, I don't even know. I don't need to look at their stats, but I'm taking steps back 10 times out of 10.
As the fat kid in high school, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, see, no, actually, if Graz stepped up Graz has the look of someone who he looks like he'd be intimidating if he stepped up to the plate, that I would back up. The average person like me or Zach, if they step up to the plate, I'm probably not backing up. But a Graz, a Sal Romano, guys like that, I'm backing up probably. That actually would be a good question for a future podcast. I'm not going to throw it out there now unless you guys want to discuss it. If you could, like, who would you be most scared of facing in Little League, just based solely off of appearance? If, like, as a major league player in Little League, if they stepped up to the plate, who are you backing up for in the outfield?
The kid with the mustache. There's always one kid with a mustache in every Little League team.
I'm talking. Like, well, yes. I mean, true. You're not wrong.
Oh, you're talking about like real people.
Like if a big league player, if you face them in Little League or high school or just whatever, They step up to the plate, and you're only basing it off of just their appearance. Who, if you're playing the outfield, are you just looking at them and saying, "Oh fuck, they can hit bombs," and backing up?
Dude, from a pitcher's perspective, I would hate to face like a guy like I used to hate facing guys like Altuve who would just put it in play and they were so fast. Like you would have to make the perfect player.
I hate to sound like a douchebag, but that was me. I couldn't hit home runs for shit, but I was fast. There's this one kid, shout out Jason Grace. He threw heat as a pitcher, and he would throw. He didn't really like locate it. He threw it up the middle every time, but I couldn't catch up to it. So I would just hit dribblers like in the infield. They might as well have been bunts. And every single time I faced this kid, I hit an infield single. And now every time I see him years later, he's like, "Hey, any infield singles lately?" He's still butthurt about it.
He's still chirping.
Yeah.
What's he up to nowadays?
God knows. I don't know what anyone's up to nowadays. We're way past our prime. So that's all I'll say. I don't know. But oh man, those were the days. Those were the days. I'll say that. And to answer my own question, I think Pablo Sandoval would be a guy who I'd back up in the outfield.
My answer was Cespedes. Cespedes is intimidating.
Fuck, yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if he's rocking a gold chain in Little League, just
gold chain mustache. Cespedes was that size.
Oh shit! Yeah, true. The gold chain. If you see a guy with a gold chain in high school, step out to the plate, you're backing up to the fence.
You're going over the fence.
Yeah. Oh shit. Okay. When you're hot, you're hot. We'll go back to that, and I'll give mine. Another guy who I'd probably back up when they step up to the plate is JD Martinez. I don't mean to be a homer here, but it's kind of hard not to note what JD Martinez has done for the past week. He's been on fire. He's batting .346, on base percentage is .414 with a 1,000 slugging percentage. That's pretty fucking good. A 1,000 slugging percentage that means you're hitting the ball kind of hard. 5 home runs in his last 7 games. He's him and Mookie both together. That's a scary duo, and that's a home run race. I'm all in. I'm all in for.
Yeah, I know in the Red Sox sign him, people were questioning whether his opposite field pop would translate to Fenway Park, and he's shut up all those people. I mean, he's driving the ball over the 420 mark. He's hitting the ball right down the line. He's been insane.
Yep.
So my when you're hot is from the Oakland A's that we talked about earlier. Pitcher Daniel Megden. By the way, he has one of the best mustaches in MLB.
Speaking of mustache,
if you can, he has like the old timey windup. You remember when triple play baseball, you create a player and you could give them like the Christy Mathewson windup when they're like over their head and like doing all this crazy shit. He has that windup and it's been effective for him. His last 2 starts, 2-0 with like a sub 1 ERA. He just pitches to contact, which I love, and he gets people out. He doesn't screw around. He doesn't get high pitch count. He goes deep into games. So Daniel Megden, when you're hot, you're hot.
Pitching staff is so underrated. Sean Manaea, we already know what he's done this year. Him, the guy you just mentioned, Daniel Megden. Who's the other one? I don't know how to say his last name. Blake Treinen.
Yeah, he's a closer. He's fire.
I'm so bad with last names, but he's been great for the A's also, and the movement on some of his pitches. If you follow Pitching Ninja on Twitter, I don't know if you guys follow him, but he tweets out GIFs of like the movement. He does like slow-mo pitching movement. You can see every single. It's really cool to see.
One of the best sinkers in baseball.
Yeah, it's great. So the A's do have talent. Don't make any mistake about it. And speaking of underrated, AAA baseball might be the most. The MVP gets all the attention. AAA baseball was no joke either. That was probably one of the most underrated baseball games of all time. So that's a good reference. Do you guys ever play World Series baseball? I think it had Jason Giambi on the cover. I think it was like World Series Baseball 2002, and I think it was the only World Series baseball game ever made, as far as I know.
No, I was a big ESPN 2K Baseball 05 with Jeter.
That was really good. All-Star Baseball. I think I had All-Star Baseball 99. It was the red cartridge for the N64. Yep. That was a really fun one. That was like
the Ken Griffey Jr. one too.
Well, Ken Griffey Jr. is legendary, that game. But the one with the first All-Star Baseball game that I had was 99 with a red cartridge. I'll never forget that. And then 2003, Graz, you'll like this. I had All-Star Baseball 2003. I think I've told Zach this before. All-Star Baseball 2003, I would play franchise mode with the Yankees because I didn't know, I was just like, oh, the Yankees are good, so I'm going to be the Yankees. And Rondell White,
unbelievable. I played this game. I know exactly what you're going
to say. Rondell White was like my favorite player, and he was so good in that game.
The best player in that game, I used to play it on my PS2, dating myself. I always play with the Marlins because they just won the World Series or good or whatever. Dontrell Willis had a slurve in that game that was unhittable. It moved. Me and my brother used to play with how many hits you got was the runs you got to win, because we'd be like 2-1 in hits.
I missed the D train. He had that one good season, and he was the most talked about player in baseball. He was an absolute stud, and then he just sucked the rest of his career.
Isn't that crazy how like those fringe guys in games? Like I remember Corey Koski in triple play baseball. Like I could get a hit with him every time.
Corey Koski, yeah, that's another one. We could do a whole episode talking about these obscure players who you used in video games and they would just rake. Another one for me was Benito Santiago from the Giants. His stance was just there's certain guys, if they have a stance in a game, you just can you're just good with that stance. I don't know what it is, but yeah, we could have a whole episode about that. That might have to be a future segment. But for now, we'll move on to this segment. It is Graz's mailbag.
I have a full mailbag. Also, Algie Crumpler, completely different sport, but we have a full mailbag.
Algie Crumpler. Algie Crumpler, Algie Crumpler out there.
He's unbelievable in video games. Moving on. Okay. Very simple toss-up to start, and then we'll get into. I've like 5 or 6 really good questions for you guys.
Okay.
First question: better Michael, that famous Michael that uses his middle initial, Michael A. Taylor or Michael B. Jordan?
Just better over like
no. I just got better. No description.
Michael B. Jordan.
Okay, I'm for that too.
Black Panther was a good movie. He did great.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to go with Michael A. Taylor because I think if actors put their middle initial in there, it's kind of a pompous move on their part.
To be fair, he kind of has to because you can't just be Michael Jordan. You're already beaten. You can't win. If you are named Michael Jordan, like you're automatically losing.
So I guess so, yeah.
Like right off the bat, you can't stand a chance. So if you throw the B in there, it makes yourself stand out more. I think you have to if you're Michael B. Jordan. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Good. This is why this podcast is great. That's exactly the answer I wanted. Okay, baseball questions. If the Nats continue to keep stumbling up until the deadline, do you see them selling? And if so, who would they sell?
Can we define stumbling? Are they still in contention? Are they not in contention for
let's say they're not in contention.
They're not in contention.
They're fringe, not in contention. So I'd say maybe like 8 to 10 games out.
I think they have to. They have too many pieces not to, and they know Harper is going to be leaving in all likelihood. And they do have a good farm system. They got Victor Robles coming up. That's their number 1 prospect. And they already got Soto. So they got the guys, those type of guys in place. They have Trey Turner, obviously, who they're not going to move no matter what. I think they have to sell the veteran guys. You might even sell, at that point, if it really does get to that point, if you can, do you move Harper? If you know for a fact you're not going to get him. I don't really know their situation with Harper right now. And then they have other guys who, they have plenty of pieces that they can make it happen with. So I lean towards yes if they do get to a point where they're not in contention, but I don't think they're going to get to that point. I do think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I'm with Justin. If they do get to that point, I think they ship off some of the veterans they have on their team and just build around the young guys. Because to be honest, this veteran, they've been choking in the playoffs. So something needs to change at some point.
The other part of that is there's this sort of misconception in my mind that the Nationals, once Harper leaves, are going to suck. And I don't think that's the case. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be in contention for years to come because they have too much young talent and too much existing talent outside of Harper to suck. I think they're a really good all-around team. Now, once that pitching staff, if and when that falls apart, that's when it would become an issue. But I think when Harper leaves, I still think they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, they're willing to spend too, so they can go out and sign people. They've done it before.
Yeah. Do you guys, gun to head right now, is Harper leaving Washington?
No.
Ooh.
I think he's going to stay.
I think he's staying too.
They're going to give him enough money.
Okay.
I agree with Graz. I think everyone's going the other way though.
That's interesting. Yeah. So you don't think he's going to end up going to the Cubs or the Dodgers?
The Cubs are probably the only. I don't think he ends up going to the Yankees. I think the Cubs just because of the Chris Bryant connection, if any other team. So
I honestly think the Dodgers are going to make it. I think they are serious. Everyone's saying the Cubs because Harper's dog's name is Wrigley and all that shit. He's best friends with Chris Bryant. And I get it. I could see him going to the Cubs for sure. I think the Dodgers in my head are the front runner, but just because of the money they have to blow, and they do need an outfielder pretty badly.
Wherever Harper goes, though, that's going to be the team to beat in the NL for the next 5 to 6 years because he's not going to a shitty team.
Right. Yeah.
He's going to go to a contender already.
Absolutely. All right. Next one.
Next question. Aaron Hicks Yankees this weekend hit his second inside the park home run of the year, which is just an awesome play. And it brings me to one of my favorite questions. Is the inside the park home run the most exciting play in all of sports?
If it's not like a little league home run where there's just errors being made all over the place and it's just based purely on speed and, just gutting it out.
Yeah.
I think that you can have that conversation. But if it's more based on the defense sucking and making errors, then I'd probably say no.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's whenever it's one that's like the outfielder's running back and it hits off the wall, bounces way away, and they show the guy running around and he's getting tired and they always slide into home no matter if it's a close play or not, which is awesome.
That's great.
I have it up there with the Hail Mary and the buzzer beater as the three most exciting plays in all of sports.
You know what I have never understood? How players are gassed when they run from like doing inside the park home run.
They're professional athletes. They should be able to make it pretty easily, right?
Yeah, I feel like if I went out there right now and just ran as fast as I could doing an inside the park homer, I might be like slightly gassed, but I'm also not a pro athlete. Like I think they should be able to handle it, especially if you're like I don't know, if you're someone like Bryce Harper or someone like, I guess Bryce Harper probably wouldn't be gassed. That's stretching it a little bit, but
Aaron Hicks should be not.
There you go. You should
I don't know. You get the adrenaline pumping. It's excitement that gets you kind of more geeked up than you probably need to be.
There is nothing funnier when they realize they have a chance and they start sprinting between at the shortstop hole. And they're like, the weights coach is running around. Oh, I'm all in.
And you can see them running from third to home, and you can tell that they're gassed. Just the fact they're running in slow motion, pretty much. Yep. It's hilarious.
Okay, more baseball-y question now.
Okay,
will the Astros rotation break the earned runs record for a season? Because they're on pace to.
Oh, if they're on pace to, I honestly think yes. I don't see how they couldn't. I think over the course of the season, they're only going to get. I mean, it's hard to get much better, so I should probably I don't see them slowing down. We'll put it that way. I think they're going to keep this pace throughout the entire season, and if they're on pace to do it, I think they do it because from top to bottom, they're so fun. They're just so good. There's really no more in-depth conversation to have about it than that. They're just so good.
Keuchel has been the worst pitcher in the rotation. He's usually the Cy Young best guy, so.
Lance McCullers almost pitched it. We were talking about no hitters earlier. He almost had a no hitter yesterday, Sunday.
He's a gem.
He's a very underrated pitcher.
By the way, Charlie Morton should be in the Cy Young conversation from the Astros.
That whole Astros rotation outside of Keuchel right now should be in the Cy Young conversation. It's crazy.
Oh, okay. Red Sox question. You excited?
I'm very excited.
Okay, so the Red Sox are now on pace to hit a bunch more home runs than they were before, right? So, as Sox fans, do you guys attribute it to Alex Cora changing the culture, or do you give it the credit to JD Martinez being that power bat that you were missing so dearly?
So
that's a good question.
It's a great question. I lean more towards. I have an off the page answer here. Not one of those. It is Cora, but it's not like the culture. It's more of the approach at the plate. They're way more aggressive. At the beginning of counts where Farrell wanted them to work counts. And Cora went in and said, just go up there and mash at the best pitch that you see. Mookie, last season, he was good, but he was not his runner-up MVP self because he was pretty much forced to work counts, and that's not his game. He'll ambush you on a first pitch fastball, and that's where he gets most of his home runs. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And then obviously, I mean, JD is obviously helping them get the home runs because he is their power bat. But I'm saying outside of JD, I think it's Alex Cora for sure. The approach at the plate has been totally different than it was with Farrell.
I think that's the perfect answer. And I think you can see it the most with Bogarts. I just think he's been driving the ball and swinging at the first. Good pitch he sees, so I think it's definitely an approach thing, and you can see the change in a lot of these players.
Yeah, the one guy it's not working for is Jackie Bradley Jr., and I don't want to go on another rant about him, so I'll just say this, that just sit him down forever. I don't know.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
It's bad. It's only gotten worse since I went on that rant.
You can be aggressive, but if you can't make contact, it's no good.
Any pitch, he actually showed his frustration for once. He's usually not the type of guy to do it. Every pitch they throw him that's in on his hands, but still kind of in the strike zone, up and in, he can't do it. He just simply cannot do it, and pitchers know it, so they throw it there every single time. It's sad to see. He hit a double the other night, but I mean, still, it's just not when you do that every 100 at bats, it's not going to get the job done. It sucks.
Well, it was good to see him out in Pittsburgh taking a swim. Oh wait, that was a dumpster. That was a fire tweet.
We were talking about video games. I was playing MLB The Show, Road to the Show mode. Fun little mode there.
Big shout out.
That stuff. Yeah, big shout out to that. And Jackie Bradley Jr. in the year 2021 is on the Yankees, and he's actually raking. So maybe you have that to look forward to.
You never know. The Yankees do buy low a lot, and it works out.
Hey, 3 years from now, if JBJ is on the Yankees, which I can kind of picture, look out.
I'm ready. Okay, 2 quick questions to finish off. One, I know the answer to this. Are you guys in for Ohtani for the home run derby? Because I'm all in.
I want it. He doesn't seem to want it. He said he's not good enough. That was Ohtani's quote, not mine. And I disagree. So, yeah, I want him in it. It'd be so good for baseball, too.
Yeah. You got to have him in it if he wants to do it.
Yeah, I think we'll save this for next episode, a little tease. I want to talk about what your dream of everyone who's in the league right now, as the league stands right now, just your dream home run derby lineup for this season. We will do that next week. But I'd be interested to hear your answers. That's something we got to prep, so I don't want to do that now. But I think that'd be a good topic because this year there are some dudes who absolutely mash, and I think it'd just be a good thing to talk about.
There's 3 Yankees on that list, which is a lot.
Yeah. Speaking of just dudes mashing the Yankees, is Tyler Austin good, or is this just like what these past 3 games?
He's getting good just to annoy us, so we can't send him down and bring up Greg Bird, who I really love.
He's been like very, very good.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He's leading the AL rookies in home runs and RBIs.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay.
Do fans like him? Are they like all about Tyler Austin, or is he just
It's a meh. They really have no opinion of him because Yankee fans are clueless.
Well, because Red Sox fans love Joe Kelly now, so I didn't know if Yankee fans love Tyler Austin now.
No, they love the fact that Aaron Judge sunned Joe Kelly in that fight.
Okay,
and it's all part of the Aaron Judge thing. Because if Austin like tackled him and was beating the snot out of him, then yes.
Okay,
exactly. All right, last question. I saved the most difficult one. Who gets left off of the AL roster shortstops for the All-Star game? Okay, I will help you out.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
You have I lost it. Okay, you have Simmons,
Machado, Bogarts,
Machado,
Lindor,
Correa. And if Didi ever finds his way back on there,
Correa.
Correa. That's the 6.
Well,
you
Didi's
probably
out.
take 4.
Didi's out.
Didi's out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 out of those 5, I guess.
God damn it, Graz. That is a hard question. And I hate to do it. I think I gotta take Bogarts out.
Yeah, I'm the same with you.
I don't want to do it, but those other guys are just absolute stars right now. And if Bogarts didn't get hurt, he might be on that level 2 right now. But I just got to go with the best players, and that's the other guys: Lindor, Correa, and Simmons. Even Simmons is having a great year, very under the radar. So
if Didi gets heated back up, he doesn't make it.
If just out of all those guys, like Didi's been good outside of that slump. It's so hard. I mean, someone's got to be left out, and I think it's Bogarts and Didi there. And a lot of people might chirp at us when they hear us saying that Simmons should be in because Simmons is so underrated and no one like cares about what he's doing in Anaheim because it's Anaheim. He's been outstanding, even offensively. So
it's true. That's it for the mailbag. Good job, guys. You made it.
Okay. Thank you. One last thing, Graz. Give it to us.
One last thing. Okay. My one last thing was going to be how the baby Braves are the most exciting team in baseball. They came back from 5 runs down in the 9th inning to win. But scratch that. I'm a Yankees fan in heart. Torres went bomb again today already, just currently as we're recording. Torres is the truth, and we should trade Didi. He's the shortstop of the future. Sign Machado for 3rd. Get lit. Torres is unbelievable. And suck it, Cubs. Russell sucks. Torres is the GOAT.
You're not wrong.
The Braves are dope too.
You're not wrong. And we had the conversation, the hypothetical, do you get rid of Didi? If this was in the midst of his hot streak. Yep. And we were like, no. I mean, if as long as he keeps doing that, you obviously keep him. Now, I think you shop him, right?
You shop him hard.
And you have to hope, though, as a Yankee fan, that he gets hot again. That way his value goes back to what it was at the beginning of the year. Otherwise, if he stays in this slump come July, it's going to be like, okay, we don't really – that was just a flash in the pan. We don't really want this guy.
I think it's going to be a winter meetings discussion.
Yeah, probably right. Okay, so that is the show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Tater Talk Pod. Do the same on Instagram. Do the same on Facebook. Subscribe on iTunes. And unless you guys got any last words, I think we'll wrap it up there.
No, peace.
See you later.